Well, let's bring in our guests now to discuss more about BRICS. In New Delhi, Sreeram Chaulia, Dean of the Jindal School of International Affairs. Sreeram, if I can start with you, because you're there in India where this summit has been taking place. What's come out of it?
I think substantial agreements have been signed, and there is a momentum to build upon the institutional successes of the past, like the new development bank and the contingency reserve arrangement, and also new ideas, innovative ideas. We are now moving towards setting up a BRICS credit rating agency to challenge the triopoly of the Western rating agencies. There is broad-based cooperation from agriculture to industry to tourism to youth, culture, people-to-people contacts, improvement of BRICS, intra-BRICS trade by lowering customs barriers, and also improving intra-BRICS investment flows. So even though the climate is somewhat gloomy in some of the BRICS countries, India as a host is taking the lead because it has the momentum behind it with the highest, fastest growth among all the member countries, and with the dynamic leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, there is a push to broad-base BRICS and make it really relevant, not just in the eyes of the world, but for the people of these 5 countries who, as you said, constitute nearly 45% of the world's population and who have lots of developmental aspirations. It's only by coming together, especially when the economic chips are down, that BRICS can demonstrate that there is something to be gained through multilateral cooperation, which will bring back developmental benefits to the poor in our societies.
Sreeram, not a serious global player. What do you make of that?
You know, I think BRICS is still work in progress, and there have been some sharp bends and curves where some of them have faltered. But end of the day, the institutional progress is phenomenal. I mean, just imagine a situation where we are talking about alternative paradigms even to human development. The BRICS Wellness Index is being formulated, which will highlight the importance of traditional medicine, for example, rooted in our ancient civilizations of all these countries. So there are a lot of new ideas out there. They were looking at trading in their local currencies. They are looking at also involving outreach as form of outreach other neighboring countries. For example, this evening, Prime Minister Modi is hosting an outreach summit between the BRICS heads of state and heads of government of BIMSTEC, which is the Bay of Bengal initiative, which involves Myanmar and Thailand and some other South Asian countries. So there is a lot going on in terms of the regional integration or sub-regional integration. And I think these are positives, and we should not ignore these. Of course, I mean, we have problems, and there are corruption scandals, and there's economic slowdown and commodity slump and fall in demand. Yes, I'm not denying those. But what I'm trying to say is that, at a time of crisis, we need to really show our character. We're going to tough it out, and I think the agreements are so substantial in Goa at the summit that I'm pretty sure the follow-up, India has done 115 background meetings prior to this summit over a 6 to 8 month period, and all these are coming to fruition, and I see a brighter future for us because the fundamentals are still there.
Okay, can you just give us some concrete examples of how these meetings have come into, how they've come into fruition? I'm interested to know what concrete examples we've got that demonstrate BRICS' collectivism. And we've got the new development bank, but what else?
Well, they have now signed an agricultural cooperation and research institution that's going to come about. They're also looking at, there are many means by which we can ease non-tariff barriers. The intra-BRICS trade is around $300 billion, and it can go up to $1 trillion if we can remove some of these. They're looking at improving understanding of investment climates in each of these countries. They have also forged a common front on terror. So although, there are divergences, I mean, there will be narrow nationalistic urges, but the idea of this forum, why it perseveres, why it is not, we have not thrown away the baby with the bathwater, is because it brings some value. It brings economic and security value to its members. And at the end of the day, there are multiple paradigms which are alternative to the Western view, which are emerging. There is a youth forum, there is a women's forum. If you look at the substance of what's happening on the ground, below the level of the summit, you really see the dynamism from the ground up, where people have taken a stakes in this. There is a BRICS identity that's being formed. Okay. We're completing 10 years, and I don't see how this institution is going to fade away or just fall aside.
Sreeram, we had the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi calling BRICS a vital pillar of hope at at this conference, at this summit, a vital pillar of hope in today's economic world. I'm wondering, looking at all of the struggling economies there, apart from India's, which is growing and it's doing very well, is there any move within India to support its fellow members?
Yes, I think India can, whet the appetite of investors from these countries which are looking for opportunities to get favorable returns on investment. Prime Minister Modi, for example, the Russians are investing heavily in India's defense manufacturing, indigenous Make in India campaign of Prime Minister Modi. He's also, as I said, connecting BRICS with South Asian and Southeast Asian countries and with India as a possible vector. So I think there are significant investment trade opportunities for the other countries. India remains, a consumer demand-driven market, and it has a lot to offer for countries that are struggling. We have a trade deficit with China, which is adverse in China's favor, and that's something we have been wanting to address. But some of the other countries we can surely import a lot more. But more than that, it's also about security. I mean, the way they've come out in Goa openly saying we need to dismantle havens and sanctuaries of terrorism, and have almost unequivocally condemned the attacks that happened from Pakistan against India recently in Kashmir. All these clearly show that there is also a parallel agenda. The national security advisors of all these countries are meeting. It's not just all economics. Even in security sphere, they're coming together. There's naval cooperation that's being mooted. There's intelligence sharing. We are forming, some kind of a BRICS identity, and BRICS Plus. I mean, we are also looking to engage other emerging market economies that have emerged more recently. So I think overall, it's a positive trend. I mean, the rise of the non-West is something we should not be dismissed. Okay. And just because, some of these countries have become comatose right now, doesn't mean that they have lost steam altogether. The fundamentals are still there. The demographics are still there, except Russia. And I think we'll bounce back in time to come.
Okay. I mean, as you say, Sreeram, security was a key issue during this Goa conference. During the BRICS meeting, India's Prime Minister called on his counterparts to assist his country with the fight against terror. Narendra Modi said the most serious direct threat to our economic prosperity is terrorism. Tragically, its mothership is a country in India's neighbourhood. Ali, we all know which country that is. Narendra Modi didn't have to mention it by name. It is Pakistan. Are you surprised, though, by how much of this conference India used to focus its personal animosity with Pakistan, trying to call other BRICS nations in to rally behind it?
If only India's hobby horse, then why would the other four sign up to such a strong declaration? Are they being led astray by India? Don't they have their own minds? I think it's a common concern. All the member states believe that terrorism is a problem. It's not just a narrow Indian concern whatsoever.
I agree
India's
with terrorism,
tried to convene and mobilize
multilateral
the
terrorism in Pakistan
to counter this. So I don't think it's just India imposing its will on the others. Rather,
no, but Sreeram, India certainly focused its on Pakistan.
With respect, Sreeram, I don't think everybody feels that Pakistan is the mothership of terrorism. I mean, there are other countries which are considered equally
then why did the other four countries sign on to it? I mean, are they being
it's an interesting.
Are they not autonomous actors?
Development.
Okay, well, let's get Anastasia's point on that. Anastasia, why do you think there was... Okay, Sreeram, your thoughts on that, BRICS' immediate future?
I think they've got to look at serious structural reforms, domestic reforms, also improved intra-BRICS trade and coordination. The infrastructure-based financing has already begun. The New Development Bank has lent close to $1 billion in its first year in existence, focused on renewable energy and such projects. I think they've got to build upon this success. There are, areas where we need to improve, and I'm not defending it as if it's perfect, but what I'm saying is this is the only means we have to be able to project power and to change the world order. And I don't think
thank you, Ali. Last word to you. We've got about a minute left. If we could just get your thoughts on whether... Okay, fascinating to get all of your perspectives on this. Thank you all very much for joining us on Inside Story today. Sreeram Chaulia, Ali Khan Satchu and Anastasia Nesvetilova.